invite you to relax and get comfortable. Join me in this discussion of Just Another Theory. Thank you for joining me on Just Another Theory podcast, where you can relax and we talk about true crime. Whenever there is a person reported missing or murdered, the first rule of thumb in any investigation is to rule out those that are closest to the victim. As most are aware, the chance of the victim knowing their attacker are significantly higher than just a random act of violence. Not everyone can be a suspect, no matter how much you feel someone did it. Certain criteria must be met to fill the shoes of a perpetrator. Does the person in question have a motive? Although not required, a motive does lead us to solving more crimes than not. Did the person have the opportunity to commit the crime? If the individual has an airtight alibi, then it makes it highly unlikely they were in two places at once. However, if the timeline is amiss in some small way, the airtight balloon alibi deflates, and then opportunity of said person to be involved is again in question. Did the person have access to components of the crime against the person? In other words, if the victim was shot, did the person of interest have access to a gun? The most important question in any investigation is called the control question. This is the one question that only the lead investigators and the person who committed the crime or someone witnessing the crime will know the answer. On the evening of August 5th, 2022, not very long ago as I record this, on August 19th, 2022, 16-year-old Kiely Rodni was last seen on security footage at a local business in her hometown, Truckee, California. The small remote mountain town of Truckee is famous for being home to the Pioneer Monument located in Donner Memorial State Park, dedicated to the ill-fated Donner Party. The famous story of the Donner Party still causes a thick swallow and a shiver for most that know the tale. History tells us of the westward migration filled with incredible hardships along the wagon trail of the immigrants trying to get to California. Some were unable to cross the Sierra Nevada mountains before the harsh winter caught them off guard, and almost half starved to death. With dwindling food supplies in the frozen winter of 1846-47, the Donner Party family, of which more than half were children and younger than 18, were trapped for 6 horrific months by the weather and deep snow at what is now known famously as the Donner Campsite, also known by many as Donner Pass. Out of this group of 87 family members, 87 souls, over half children, some teenagers, only 48 survived and made it to California. Even in this modern day age, well over 100 years later, it's still shocking to think of how the Donner family actually survived that. The young family members of the Donner Party that did survive, later told the tale of savage murders within the family, cooking up the family members and serving them at mealtime to survive, feeding the young ones their own family blood to keep them alive. A lot of things change in almost a couple centuries. However, the weather is not one. The same heavy winter snowfalls that trapped the Donner family today sustains many of the local towns, attracting avid winter sport lovers. From ski resorts to snowcat rides, the winter becomes alive with charter helicopters flying in supplies to unreachable parts during the heaviest snowfalls. Some locations are so remote, such as the Lost Trail Lodge, which is actually owned by missing Kiely Rodni's parents. The only way in during the winter's months is to strap on snowshoes and hike the 4-mile journey or cross-country ski from Donner Park Gate near the Donner Park Pass. Reno, Nevada, being about 30 miles away, still offers the comfort of city life during the warmer months, as well as a mere 15-mile, beautiful scenic drive to Lake Tahoe. Life in Truckee isn't for everyone, but those that are there value the summer months to socialize and enjoy outdoor gatherings at the vast locations of campgrounds and nature outlooks. Understanding this tight community located in such a remote mountain small town tucked neatly next to Reno and Lake Tahoe is very important in finding Kylie, I believe. Kylie was originally planning to go out with her family for the day to Reno and check out Hot August Nights, a celebration of classic cars and rock and roll. This unexpected change of plans left everyone anxiously wondering what in the world happened to Kylie and where is her missing silver 2013 Honda CR-V, her phone, and where could she possibly be? A favorite hangout local safe for teens and underage parties is Prosser Campground, just 12 miles from the Lost Trail Lodge, also known as Kylie's home. Prosser Campground is where Kylie is reported last seen that night. Introducing two key characters into Kylie's reported story, Magdalene and Sammy. Known by Mags by her friends, who is confirmed to be Kylie's best friend by Sammy and another friend, Kate. Mags herself accounts Kylie driving them both to Prosser Campground and arriving around 10 p.m. Sammy says as Kylie and Mags arrived, she and Kylie connected right away. Both Mags and Sammy's accounts match, saying the party at Prosser Campground exploded with large groups of people, including older men. The girls claiming some men may have even been close to 40 years old, showing up unexpectedly. Mags claiming in the few minutes she was waiting for Ross, she was being pressured to take bong rips one after another. The girls, Sammy and Mags, claim hundreds showed up to this party in a small remote campsite. Both girls also claim that Mags met up with her boyfriend Ross and left after about 10 minutes. Sammy says that she and Kylie joined the huge crowd, which was overwhelming at times. The only evidence there was any gathering at all that night is a few photos released by local law authorities of approximately 25 or 30 people standing around the headlights of a car, of which none appear to be holding drink cups. In a recent presser, a full 10 days since Kylie went missing, law officials said they have videos of a fight and knowledge of a photo of Kylie wearing a white and pink Odd Future hoodie at some unknown time during the night. However, 10 days prior, when she was initially reported missing the following morning by her mother, Lindsay Rodney Neiman, Placer County reported they were seeking any information regarding a black designer hoodie with eerie song lyrics printed on the front. It said, "You don't want to be forgotten. You just want to disappear." In following interviews when asked, Lindsay says that the black hoodie belongs to Kylie's best friend and that she has seen Kylie wear the pink one time and time again. This correction changes her appearance significantly when you consider that at night, a black hoodie would camouflage the individual to be virtually invisible in the shadows, whereas a white hoodie would draw much more attention against the darkness. Sammy claims during an interview with a fellow YouTube creator that she knew exactly what Kylie wore as they copped a squat in the outdoor bathroom, claiming she wore only a black bodysuit, green Dickies, and the belt seen in the security footage earlier that night, claiming Kylie had to remove the belt to even go to the bathroom. If the black hoodie belonged to Mags, Kylie's best friend, it would make sense that she may have taken it with her when she left with her boyfriend Ross. But that doesn't explain how Sammy, who has claimed from the very first day that she and Kylie were together for almost all of the night, never spoke up to correct the hoodie style or the color. Sammy was even repeating the plea in her own public gatherings for anyone to come forward regarding the black hoodie, until she was alerted, just like the rest of the world, that in fact Kylie was identified in a photo at the party in a white hoodie. This is where, being an experienced camper myself, I ponder if this would be because Sammy was only with Kylie at the beginning of the night, when it was still warm enough not to need a hoodie. The high temp of August 5th in Truckee was 73 degrees Fahrenheit around 4:30 p.m. and hitting a low of 57 degrees by approximately 11 p.m. A very friendly good job shout out to a very smart and respected true crime fellow YouTube creator, Annie Elise from 10 to Life. When reviewing an interview with Sammy discussing what she recalls seeing Kylie wearing, Sammy makes a quick mention about if something later comes out about a shirt change, almost a week before Placer County's presser regarding Kylie being seen in the white Odd Future hoodie, rather than the black designer hoodie. My question is, was Sammy hinting that she knew of the different hoodies as a shirt change? Remember how I started this with you? I spoke of investigating those closest to the missing person, introducing another pair of characters into Kylie's ongoing story. Jagger Westfall, recent ex-boyfriend, and a person only referred to by Kylie's family as a friend, Kate Kuno, both interviewed within the first few days of her mysterious disappearance. 18-year-old Jagger, known also as Jags, was introduced by a local news station during their interview as Kylie's boyfriend, only later discovered that they had broken up recently and were still in contact with each other each day. Jags gave a short interview regarding the very day that Kylie went missing, stating he had been in contact with Kylie via text and had sent her many messages complaining most of the day. He said around 10:30 p.m., she only responded, "I'm sorry you're going through that." Note her response as words hold vital information. She apologizes to him, quote, "I'm sorry." This is taking responsibility of an issue, offering to resolve it, and she distanced herself from his emotional expression by saying "you're," as if to say she is unaffected, that it's just him, you're. "I'm sorry, you're going through all that." When Jags is sharing with the interviewer, his words show a sign of disappointment with stating that she only responded, as if he expected more emotional support from her than she offered.
It's been 5 days since Kylie's boyfriend, Jagger Westfall, has heard from her. He says they exchanged text messages before she left for a senior farewell party at the Prosser family campground, the last place anyone so far has reported seeing her.
And so I was just like, okay, be safe. Don't, do anything stupid.
He says he complained about his day and she listened.
At 10:30, she responded to what I was saying and just said, "Oh, I'm sorry that you're going through that." And that was the last time I heard from her.
He went on to say that he texted her back, "Be safe and don't do anything stupid." The first part he says, "be safe." Why would he fear that she wouldn't be safe? I'll give him a free pass on this due to the nature of today's world. However, the second part of the text, "don't do anything stupid," suggests a serious lack of trust in her and denotes a derogatory connotation of his view of her past choices, in my opinion. Posted by one of my wonderful commenters. When adding both interpretations together, one could see his message as, "Be safe, don't do anything stupid," as if to say, due to your past when you didn't know your own limits, I don't trust you to take care of yourself without me, and don't do anything such as drugs or drink too much. And, saying this as a direct firm order, I am trying to take control so that I know you will listen to my wisdom. I know you better than you know your drunk self. Okay, I know. That was a bit much to read into 6 short words that Jags actually said. Be safe. Don't do anything stupid. But I felt it was a viable option that we needed to look at anyway. The other thoughts that come to mind is that Jagger may also be sending a warning to Kylie not to cross any lines that he would become jealous over. In this sense, don't do anything stupid can be seen as a threat. And my next thought is, or what? And another way to look at this is in a foreshadowing way. If somebody does know what happened and they have staged a scenario that this person has driven drunk and caused an accident to themselves. So if you would know that ahead of time, that was the stage to be found in the near future, and you were part of it, obviously in the know, you could be setting the stage for the perception others to think when the victim is found. During the interview 3 or 4 days after she is reported missing, he looks directly to his left at Kate and he says, and I quote, "I definitely feel in this current situation she is safe. I don't know where she is. We don't have anything to go off at this point, but I fully believe that she's alive and well. And I fully believe that the 2 of us, 3 of us, or other people, we're all going to bring her home safe."
I definitely feel like that in this current situation that she's safe. I don't know where she is. We don't have anything to go off of at this point, but I fully believe that she's alive and well, and I fully believe that the 2 of us, 3 of us, or other people are going to bring her home safe.
Jagger shows a lack of emotion or concern for Kylie's well-being, but rather feels he and his friends will bring her home safe. Even though he claims they don't know where she is, he repeats a very unusual phrase in back-to-back sentences. I fully believe that she's alive and well, and I fully believe that the 2 of us, referring to him and Kate standing next to him, 3 of us, or other people. If he claims he has no idea where Kylie is and nothing to go off at this point, what makes Jagger fully believe she is alive and well, and he will bring her home safe? When he started the interview, he claims his last text words to Kylie are, "Be safe and don't do anything stupid," which is an expression of little to no confidence in her ability to be safe or smart. Yet, after she is missing for several days, he then becomes confident she is safe and that nothing has happened to her. Standing on Jag's left is Kate Kuno, just a friend according to family, who says she was with Kylie earlier in the day and they made creme brulee, and everything seemed normal. No mention to date, as I record this, of the time that Kate and Kylie separated after their day together. Kate, via text to a fellow YouTube creator, Gisla from Grizzly True Crimes, claimed that Sammy and Kylie are not friends and do not hang out together. They only saw each other at parties from time to time. She also says that the only reason Sammy was taking such a front-runner lead on Kylie's missing case is because Sammy herself is the one that was responsible for the Prosser party. Sammy claims that she and Kylie just became friends about a year ago and have gotten much closer over the past few months. So, who do we believe? Because someone is lying. And that says a lot when it's in reference to a missing person. We do know from Sammy herself that she says she planned this senior send-away party bash at Prosser and even shared flyers, so score one for Kate. I also lean toward Kate regarding their relationship due to the fact that Kylie and Sammy are not connected on any social media at all. Yet, Sammy grabbed the stage and camera immediately when Kylie was reported missing and began to falsely claim she was working alongside the police investigating Kylie's case, even going as far as to make public announcements encouraging parents to bring their teens to teen meetups that know anything about the party at Prosser or Kylie's disappearance and leave them with her. Sammy went into dramatic detail instructing the parents to drive away out of sight from the teens and leave them to discuss what they knew. And then after their info was, quote, vetted by Sammy herself, she would determine if it was important enough to share with the sheriff. Her claims were, That would allow the kids to feel safe without adults or police present, and they would freely share what they knew with her, as they all know her and trust another teen. Sammy has made multiple statements declaring she was the last one, or one of the last ones, to see and talk to Kiely around 12:40 p.m. Insert trigger warning. Are you serious? Okay, let's break this down in a realistic oh snap moment. It is highly suspicious to attempt to circumvent potential evidentiary information from witnesses through the last known person to see the missing person alive. Period. Sammy was not the only one that took charge of, quote, vetting any information for the police, but Jagger also followed Sammy's lead and began posting on his social media that he was also working with the police as well. He even posted his personal cell number, and when someone posted the sheriff's number below his post, Jagger doubled down by saying that all info should come to him first, and he would, quote, filter what info he would share with the police. Followed just a week later by another Placer County presser, in which their public speaker declared there were reports of adults and teens encouraging witnesses to not come forward with information. One eyebrow raised at Sammy and the ex-boyfriend Jagger, vetting and filtering info, and the other when you realize Sammy and Jagger are 18 and legally considered adults. It would seem neither Sammy nor Jagger were being honest, so I ask you, why lie? During the media interview with Jagger and Kate, Kate's body language is close with Jagger and they stand tight together. This suggests they are comfortable being around each other. They seem to offer each other support in their stances next to each other during the entire interview. Jags and Kate are even seen later, traveling together as they lead the news media crew on the trip to Reno, where Jagger claims in one of his and Kiely's favorite places that they can be alone. Kate appears to be very supportive of Jagger during this time. If Kiely and Mags arrived at Prosser Campground around 10 p.m., then Jagger's text would have been received approximately 30 minutes after the girls were already at the party. Sammy claims shortly after Mags and Ross leave, she and Kiely share drinks, test drinks, do shots, and even say she drank what I drank and I drank what she drank for the next hour and a half. And during an interview, she even says we shared every cup. This seems odd to say, as if to remove any worry concerning the drinks not being safe. It simply seems a bit far-fetched, as Sammy accounts for separating to talk to different groups during this time. During the time apart, each girl would most likely have had access to other drinks and the other party favors, if you follow me on that. It would seem Sammy isn't being honest again. Again, I ask, why would you lie? Why lie? Sammy claims at around 11:30 p.m., the girls and some, quote, friends returned to Kiely's car, and she asked Kiely for a ride home, as her ride is leaving and she wanted to stay longer at the party. She stutters during the interview for a moment, and then she seems to remember all at once the reason they returned to the car was to charge Kiely's phone and text her mom. As I record this, we do not have any information on who the friends were that were huddled with Kiely and Sammy in her car just an hour prior to her disappearance. The only friends we know at this time are Kate and Jagger. Jagger's dad claims that Jagger has an alibi for the night, but where was Kate? And how solid is Jagger's alibi? Are others able to corroborate that Jagger is accounted for, being Jagger hasn't been truthful regarding filter or filtering information for the police? How do we know his parents aren't covering for him? Kiely's mom, Lindsay, has confirmed she did receive an 11:30 message texted from Kiely's phone, letting her know she would be home in 45 minutes. Mom texted Kiely she loved her, and Kiely responded she loved her too. I have to ask, why not an hour? Why specifically 45 minutes? According to Sammy, after the text to Kylie's mom, and Kylie charges her phone, her and Kylie and the, quote, friends leave the car. She realizes Kylie is drunk and can't possibly drive herself home or Sammy. She says that she went back into the crowd to go find a different ride. The text at 11:30 p.m. from Kylie's phone was clear and texted without unusual errors, according to Mom. The same she always receives from Kylie in the past. What changed after 11:30 p.m. when the girls allegedly got in the car with friends to a few minutes later, according to Sammy, that Kylie was too drunk to drive? How long were they in the car? By Sam's account, they went to the car at 11:30 p.m. and texted Mom, charged Kylie's phone, and talked with friends, and then left the car at the exact same time, 11:30 p.m. It doesn't work. An educated guess charging a phone would be no less than about 10 minutes or possibly longer, and Kylie was allegedly coherent enough to text Mom and Sammy, feeling Kylie would still be a safe option for a ride home. However, just a few minutes passes, and Kylie, according to Sammy, becomes so intoxicated, Sammy will not ride with her home. This is a very key pivoting part of Kylie's ongoing story. Allowing 10 minutes to charge the phone as well as a few minutes to text Mom and exchange with friends, let's give an estimated time of 20 minutes, which places us hypothetically at a timestamp of 11:50 p.m. as the soonest they would exit the vehicle. Sammy claims that they separated after leaving Kylie's vehicle and returned to find her at approximately 12:30. Now keep in mind, Kylie's phone shuts off, disconnects at 12:33. And according to Sammy, she let Kylie know she had found a different ride home. Sammy never offered to help the 16-year-old girl to find her a safe ride home. Sammy didn't help Kylie at all. Sammy simply says she told Kylie she loved her and left her. Allowing the 20 minutes in the vehicle puts us, remember, at approximately 11:50 as the girls exit the vehicle with said friends. Now, just recently in the last few days, approximately 2 weeks after Kylie's reported missing, a friend unconfirmed named Elsa has come forward claiming she saw her around midnight and that Kylie appeared out of it. Sammy has made a claim in a couple of interviews that she thought Kylie would just sleep it off in her car or maybe camp for the night. Yet Sammy was there when Kylie texted her mom at 11:30 that she would be leaving in 45 minutes to come home. Sammy claims that Kylie was planning on getting effed up and blowing off everybody to have a wild night. However, Mags, Kylie's best friend, said that she and Kylie had plans to meet at a local coffee shop at 9 a.m. the very next morning to go camping for the weekend. With at least 2 major untruth strikes against Sammy already, it makes me really feel that Mags is the one telling the truth here and that Sammy's just telling another lie. Out of all the interviews that I have personally listened to, what I found most curious and alarming was few, except for Kylie's parents, expressed concern for her well-being, but rather when asked about her, Sammy, Jagger, Mags, and other friends, they all had the same response. She is smart. She is a smart girl. I agree it helps to be sharp if you run into a challenging situation, but the friends are also saying that she was so intoxicated she was out of it and unfit to drive home. Do they feel Kylie being smart makes her alive and well, even though Kylie, her phone, and her vehicle are all missing? Kylie's phone disconnects for a final time at exactly 12:33 a.m. Last known ping is at the point near Prosser Campground, near the water, possibly at the bottom of the lake, or could be still on land. Yes, Sammy has an answer for this as well, claiming that Kylie shut off her own location finder on her phone and then shut her own phone off. Sammy has 2 different stories regarding speaking to Kylie at exactly 12:36 a.m., 3 minutes after Kylie's phone has fully disconnected. In one interview, Sammy claims that Kylie called her and asked her if she still needed a ride. However, in another interview, Sammy says she called Kylie. Either way, how did the call take place if Kylie's phone disconnected 3 minutes earlier? And why would Sammy call Kylie after saying goodbye, as we know it wasn't to check on her well-being? And why would Kylie call Sammy to ask if she needs a ride home if Sammy had just told her face-to-face 6 minutes earlier she had a ride already? Sammy makes a huge slip-up when explaining this specific 12:36 a.m. call. She goes into detail, saying she knew Kylie was still at the party, as she could hear the people in the background of the call. Secondly, she says she is already on Highway 89 in the, quote, passenger seat. Why would you feel the need to explain where you are sitting in the car unless you were trying to set the narrative that you are not the driver? Yet, Sammy begins to explain when allegedly she was answering Kylie during the interview. Sammy says, I'm driving, and she catches herself, redirects, and says, being driven by my ride.
So this is a common misconception. She was not being driven home, and she was not driving. So, okay, at the end of the party when I saw her, she was supposed to give me a ride home because I had asked her to give me a ride home because I wanted to stay later. I then realized later in the party that I believe she was drunk, and I knew she was drunk, and so I did not want her to be driving me home because I know about drunk drivers and all that, and so and I figured she would be staying there or she would find a ride home because she's a smart girl. She's smart enough to know, she's smart. And so then I found her as I was leaving the party. I was making sure to find her to tell her that I had another ride home and that I loved her and I wanted to say bye and for her to have fun at the party. And then when I left the party, we were pretty much on 89 with my ride. And she called me as I was in the car in the passenger seat, and she was like, hey, where are you? Do you still need a ride home? And I was like, no, I'm okay. Like, I'm in the car right now. I'm getting driven home now. No, I'm okay. Like, I'm in the car right now. No, I'm okay. Like, I'm in the car right now. I'm getting driven home now.
Old-timey truth chain coming through. Placer County law enforcement has shared in every presser they have released that no one is going to be in trouble for drugs or underage drinking or anything of the nature. They simply want to find Kylie. So, why would Sam hide if she was actually driving? Next, if Sam's driving, what car is she driving? Kylie's car is missing, and Sam has already established for a short time Kylie was her ride home before, alleging Kylie got all effed up in 20 minutes while charging her phone and texting her mom. When someone lies, they are hiding the truth. When you are the last known person in contact with someone that goes missing, there is zero excuse to lie unless you are hiding something you don't want others to know. What does Sammy not want us to know? Why are both Sammy and Jagger distorting the truth when their friend and ex-lover is missing? As the days turn into weeks, many speculate if Kylie was exposed to something fatal in her drink, or perhaps in the weed they smoked. Many have begun to wonder and suggest there may have been an after-party, as Prosser parties made a mass exit around 12:30 a.m., noted by the campers that are not attending the party. Yesterday, August 20th, 2022, Placer County announced after 2 weeks of dedicated searches in the area, they are scaling back the physical search for Kylie and her vehicle. They stated they are now turning their focus on more investigation of tips and those involved. The good news is that, as of yesterday, Adventures with a Purpose began their search for Kylie. Now, this is Saturday. It's early in the day as I'm recording this. It'll take me a few hours, but we'll update as we go. On August 20th, just a day over 2 weeks since Kylie was last seen, an interesting chain of posts were left on social media. Someone asked the question, why have the cops not questioned Sammy yet? Another person responded, "How do you know they didn't?" Interesting. Placer County Sheriff's Department allegedly hit the like button on that response. At this time, as I record this, other speculation perhaps the older men allegedly showed up at the party, supplied expensive drugs to the teens who could not afford it on their own. That Kylie may have been the target for trafficking. Though this cannot be ruled out, with over 200 people present and most having phones, would someone truly risk being caught in such a small place with so many eyes and digital devices? Would the so-called abductor choose the one girl that has a car to also hide? Why would an abductor not choose Sammy or a different girl so as not to have such a large, identifiable risk as a car, which has tracking ability built in? Most traffickers target a much younger child that can be easily managed, though if Kylie's 3 sheets to the wind and none of her friends, so-called friends, are there to defend her, she would have been extremely vulnerable. Most traffic is coming into the U.S. rather than trafficking out of the U.S., but a random abduction would not give Sammy nor Jagger a reason to lie or filter information unauthorized by the police. When someone lies in a legal investigation, you can bet there's a very specific reason, and it isn't intended to help the case at all, but rather in most cases, the person is attempting to redirect the attention away from the truth to protect themselves. The only other alleged sighting of Kylie by someone other than Sammy after Mags left is approximately around midnight by a, quote, friend Ella, or Elsa, that waited for 2 weeks after Kylie is reported missing to finally speak up. She claims that Kylie appeared out of it. Why did they not come forward right away? Why wait till now? Eyewitnesses of those camping at Prosser said around 12:30 a.m., most of the vehicles left in a string of traffic and the people cleared out and no one saw Kylie's car leave. Keep in mind, that's only 3 minutes before Kylie's phone totally disconnects. Allegedly, this is also only 6 minutes before Kylie calls Sam or Sam calls Kylie, and it's all coinciding with this mass exit of the partiers at Prosser Campground. This may possibly mean that her car did not leave at all or until later when the party was over and the guests had left. Those camping had gone to bed, leaving no one to witness the quiet exit as they drove Kylie's car away. If the person shut off the location tracking on her phone, powered it down, and threw it in the water, then waited until everyone dispersed, this could explain how Kylie, her phone, and her car seemed to have disappeared without a witness. According to Sammy's account of the 12:36 a.m. phone call between her and Kylie, Sam slips in an interview and said she called Kylie, and slips when she says, "I told her I was in the car and I was being driven home by my ride." If taken at face value what Sammy is saying, Sammy called Kylie's phone after she had already said goodbye with her face-to-face at around 12:30 a.m. What reason would Sam have to phone Kylie at the exact time that she goes missing? Whose car is Sammy driving? Let's talk about just another theory, one that involves Kylie and Mags simply going to Prosser Campground to meet up with Ross. Just stay for a few moments because Mags is Kylie's best friend. Would she want to go without any of her friends? However, after Mags leaves at 10:15 and 10:20, Sammy seems to connect with Kylie and they begin to party. At 11:30 p.m., Mom receives a text buying Kylie another 45 minutes that she seems to need to leave the party right away, start driving home, to be there by 12:15 p.m., which aligns with the text, according to Mom, extending Kylie's curfew to that exact time. Although Kylie's home is approximately somewhere around 12 to 15 miles from Prosser Campground, it actually is extremely rough terrain and treacherous, and you have to go extremely slow, making her trip actually a 45-minute trip on the average. And if you factor in night, well, we're talking almost 55 minutes. As friends and Sammy met with Kylie at 11:30 p.m. allegedly in her car, Sammy states clearly at that moment Kylie agrees to be her ride home. Allegedly, Sammy claims the reason Kylie gave her mom for needing her curfew extended was to be a designated driver and that she couldn't find one of her friends. How coincidental is that? Too bad. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe when they were in the car, Sammy, not wanting to leave the party, slips a party favor into Kylie's drink, knowing that Kylie is a smart girl and would choose not to drive under the influence, seemingly buying more party time. If 20 minutes passes since they entered the vehicle to account for charging her phone and calling mom and talking to friends, the adjusted timeline, the timestamp, would be approximately 11:50 p.m. In Sammy's version, she says after they left Kylie's car, she done realized Kylie was too drunk to drive her home. This is a telling statement by Sammy, as we know that just a few moments earlier, Mom received a clear text message from Kylie's phone. Yet 10 minutes later, we have a timestamp of an unknown friend, allegedly named Elsa, who claims they witnessed Kylie at midnight, quote, quote, out of it. Between 12 and 12:30, this is when I feel Kylie is feeling the full effect of the party favor mixed with the drinks or whatever it was that she had taken. She then returns to her vehicle to lay down and passes out. Remember, Sammy even claimed herself several times in different interviews over and over again that around 12:30, quote, she found Kylie. Campers at Prosser said the partiers mass exited at 12:30 a.m. Whatever their reason, perhaps another party at a different location. This is also when Sammy reports she finds Kylie, and they talk face to face, and Kylie's phone location finder is then shut off and disconnects. At this point, if Sam did not line up another ride home, but rather still planned on Kylie being her ride, as the partiers left, she probably wasn't able to find Kylie amongst all the commotion. If we simply flip the scenario that Sammy suggests was Kylie's reason for extending her curfew, which was that she was a designated driver and could not find her friend, we have Sammy becoming the designated driver who can't find Kylie. Unable to quickly find Kylie amongst the quick dispersing crowd, it would only make sense that Sammy would call Kylie just as she slipped up and said. Prosser is a very small campground, and it would make sense while calling Kylie, she would hurry towards Kylie's car to see if she had already left with the others. If Prosser has fully emptied out, Sammy is drunk and high, finds Kylie passed out in the car, she decides to drive Kylie's car. At this moment, I feel this is when Sammy discovers that Kylie is not just passed out, but has passed away. I can imagine if Sammy is alone at Prosser with her dead friend and her dead friend's car and phone, drunk and high, I can imagine she would go into a panic mode. After calling her friends to get help, she then is told to shut off the location finder on Kylie's phone and leave it the last ping location known at Prosser Campground. She then sits waiting for the others to come. Just as Sammy slipped and shared she is in the car and is driving as she decides to establish an alibi, in my opinion, and turns Kylie's phone back on and makes a call to her phone using her own phone so that later she can claim Kylie called her after Sammy left the party. It's been alleged as of yesterday, Sammy deleted her Facebook account and literally picked up and moved to Montana. What happened to not giving up on Kylie? Is it possible that knowing Adventures with a Purpose was coming and that they would most likely really know what they were doing, that Sammy got scared? After that presser by Placer County stating that all tips should be going only to the sheriff's department and that anything else told was false, Jagger deleted that post, but he also deleted Kylie's missing poster from his Facebook. It is at this exact moment, 4:55 p.m., today that Adventures with a Purpose announced that they have just found Kylie's car as I am talking to you. The car was found upside down in 14 feet of water, only a few hundred yards from the campground. They've also confirmed that Kylie is found inside. In the past, according to Adventurers with Purpose, it's their opinion that when a car is found upside down, it implicates a very good possibility the vehicle was actually pushed rather than driven into the water. So I have to ask, did Sammy and her 7 or 8 friends that held the no parent, no police teen meetups to find Kylie actually hide Kylie and her car to avoid the responsibility of what was going to happen? There are those out there that suggest that speculation is harmful to any case. I say without speculation, we get nowhere. Nowhere. And this is not your news broadcast. This has been Just Another Theory. I love you guys. I absolutely wish healing and peace as much as possible and positive energy of love and compassion for Kylie's mom and dad and all those that truly love this young girl. God bless her and her family. And God bless you. I love you. To the moon and back. Bye for now.
But Kylie did not have a set ride home, and I was under the impression that she would either sleep there or find another ride home. And it was not known that anybody was going to give her a ride home. She was not, when she called me, she was not in a car. I could hear the party and many people talking in the background. Biggest concern is that somebody, and I've said this in other interviews, somebody knew she was drunk, offered to give her a ride home, and they didn't give her a ride home. And they could be across the world at this point with how long she's been gone. And I'm worried that I have a feeling, and obviously, I don't know, I have a feeling that she is still alive and she's still out there and she's still fighting, but that there's somebody else involved, and that's not confirmed. That's just what I believe. I think there has to be somebody else involved in this.